Hey everybody, it's Fox Rose and it's time for some witchy knowledge. So, some thoughts for the novice. Novices come to us because they found our path attractive for some reason or another. And sometimes those reasons are not for the best reasons at all. Some folks decide to come to our path to hide behind our religion and or our beliefs, to act or behave in a certain way and get away with it. Or at least they think they get away with it. In other words, some folks are truly not sincerely seeking a spiritual life. And if you happen to run across someone whom you believe is in our path for the wrong reasons, just try and remember that we can't judge them. We can't judge them or even why they're here. But we can observe them. But remember, you can observe and keep those observations to yourself. And then again, you need to remember that the gods will sort them out. The gods know which ones are sincere and which ones are not. The gods have a tendency of being able to weed out the ones who are not sincere. Nonetheless, those who are truly seeking our path often describe their experience after finding this path as a coming home. That's how I was. I was home. So welcome home. But just a few words of warning, okay? As a novice, this path you will find yourself basking in the warmth of your new spiritual home and in the love of your fellow pagans. And this is great. It really is. You found a generous, supportive, and loving group of people whom you can relate to. And even so, there are a few things that the novice must be aware of. As a novice, you will feel exhilarated, wonderful, and filled with love for the entire universe. But the thing is that the universe does not necessarily feel the same way about you. Many times the universe sees someone who has set foot on this path and says, "You've just declared yourself ready to learn and grow, and here's your first lesson." And your first lesson is delivered right in your face. First lessons usually have to do with love and trust. Perfect love and perfect trust. That does not mean total love and trust of any one group or individual in your life. But it does not mean that it's expected of any novice, dedicate, student, initiate to have and hold a degree of love and trust which is appropriate to the person or in their own situation. It just means that you've become a pagan. It doesn't mean that you should allow anyone to tell you that you've given up your right to make sure someone's trustworthy before placing anything important into his or her hands. These people in the community who will play on the phrase perfect love and perfect trust to manipulate others to their will. We have bad apples in the pagan community, just like any other community. There are weirdos everywhere. And they take it to extreme. I mean, we have those weirdos in the pagan community who, decide that they're going to go on a killing spree and say, "Oh, I'm Wiccan and I'm making a sacrifice." And that's not how it happens. No, not at all. Then we also have some weirdos in the Christian community who are join us or die. Just as well as Islam. I mean, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. And you have to understand that just because it is everywhere. It doesn't mean that there's wrong with what your beliefs are. So don't forget, it's also because we are human beings. Bad apples exist in every organization, group, community, religious or not. These bad apples are very few in number, but they can cause harm that is far out of proportion to their own number. We see this today in violence in the streets. Just because these people are violent doesn't mean that the entire community or the entire race is bad. I mean, not everybody is bad. There's just a few. That's what we're talking about here. There are many paths in the pagan community, including secret orders, lodges, temples, initiatory traditions, and each of these have oaths that you may be required to take and secrets you may be required to keep. These groups have their own advantage. One advantage is having structure. A lot of people think that Wicca is not organized. It doesn't have structure and it doesn't have dogma, but I assure you it does. It is all structured. I mean, a lot of people feel like this is a free-for-all, and it's not. Not at all. When you follow a path delineated by an established group, you will have some idea of what lessons are coming your way, and that way you can better prepare yourself to deal with them. But not all groups are reputable. We talked about this in my last video. You should never be made to feel uncomfortable in any group. You should never be forced to do anything that you find unethical, illegal, or demeaning. Perfect love and perfect trust does not mean you are to turn your life around and will over to anybody else, even to someone with a big title and lots of followers. Get to know as many different people in your own pagan community as you possibly can. There are more people you know, the more people you can talk to, the more perceptive you, the more perspective you can tap into is the word I'm looking for. Whenever you have doubts about a person or a group, if you have a number of contacts in the community, you will always have someone you can ask about ethics and practices you might find questionable. No reputable group will insist you cut yourself off from your roots, family members, or pull your branches away from the air and light of the world. There will always be bylaws in most established teaching groups, and in particular, those that are considered to be closed groups. They really have bylaws and ethics, and you will learn who to trust and who not to pretty quickly. As long as you keep in mind what my last video was about, the Seeker's Bill of Rights. Go through that again if you must. You should read those bylaws and be willing to follow their bylaws before making the decision to become a member or go through any training of that coven. Read books by many different authors that you can, but be cautious about the authors of the books. Make sure that you have a reputable author, one that is a credible and legitimate reference. But even when you do find a reputable author and reputable books, don't ever assume that every one of them are going to say the same thing when it comes to beliefs. Some will be very similar, some won't. But there will be many different books that seem to say the same thing, just in a different way as well. But nonetheless, the more you read, the more easily you will be able to spot the people who may be in paganism for the wrong reason and for personal gain. Again, there is absolutely, I do not charge my students for any of this information. They're just responsible for their own materials. That means books, notebooks for their BOS, pens, ink, whatever. They're printing, okay? If I have a handbook that we have written for the degree that they're in, they need to pay for the copy. But that's it. I do not take money for my teaching. And that's what you have to understand. Some people are in this for the wrong reason. They want to get rich, and that's not the way it is. I mean, yeah, you can write a book, but my high priestess wrote a book, and I assure you, even though she has sold many, many copies, she's not rich off of that book. I mean, there is absolutely no, she's not in it for that. She's in it to give people the knowledge that they need to help them on their path. She's not in it to get rich. And believe me, she's told us this. It's not, no, you don't get rich on this path. I mean, those who do, in my opinion, in my own opinion, those who do get rich on this path are in it for the wrong reasons. You dedicate yourself to the gods. You do not dedicate yourself to money in this path. There are no secret keys. No group has the ultimate answer. You have entered a path which leads to wisdom, self-enlightenment, self-discovery, self-understanding. But you have to walk it yourself. You will have lots of company, but no group and no author will or can carry you to the end of your path. You never stop learning on this path. You will never stop learning. You will never reach your ultimate mastery. There is no certificate for Master of Wicca because you won't learn everything. There is absolutely no way you can learn everything. There is so much out there to learn. My high priestess is still learning. Me, I'm still learning. My sister, still learning. We have students that just started learning and will continue to learn on their path. You will have to do your own work. I can't spoon feed you, and neither can anybody else. You will never feel ready until you have started. The time to start is now, and always remember that you keep this thought in the forefront of your mind at all times. The mysteries will only reveal themselves to you if you do the craft. Now, every now and again, pagans will disagree. We're all unique individuals, some of us more unique than others. And some people will take the disagreements personally, and the debate can flare up into a straight-on witch war. However, witch wars are very exciting. They can offer the opportunity to join a cause and to fight on the side of the truth, justice, and right, but at the same time, they can be unnerving and stress you out and cause gray hair. Be sure that you are ready to join in on any witch war, meaning know your craft. Know your craft. Know. If you do enough studies, you will know your craft when people ask you questions. But also be ready to hear both sides of the story before you get involved in any witch war. I mean, seriously. I mean, it's like there's always 3 sides to every story. His, hers, and the truth. It could be hers, and the truth. It could be his, and the truth. There's always more than one side of the story. Make sure you get both sides and then use your own knowledge to make a decision. On the most important virtues, one of the most important virtues of paganism is no matter what religion is that falls under paganism is tolerance. No matter what the religion is, that falls under paganism, it's tolerance. That's the most important virtue. There's also one of the hardest virtues to practice, and it's easy to tolerate things that you agree with, but there are many times that you will find yourself being quite intolerant of things which deserves tolerance. And, patience and practice helps you with tolerance. And practice it during those times and you will get better at it. Don't be one to ask the gods to show you tolerance. Don't be that person. But however, as they will do just that and send you more of a lesson than you care to have. You ask the gods for tolerance and they'll give you a lesson. They will. And many novices come to the craft that have had negative experiences with Christianity or some other form of Abrahamic religion. And as a result, they harbor a great deal of anger towards the Christians and towards the Christians, faith in general. Just try to remember that not all Christians are intolerant. Not all Christians are intolerant Bible thumpers. There, I said it. They're not all that way. Many Christians are wonderful people and secure enough in their faith to allow others to believe differently. The basic ideals of Christianity includes love one another and do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And the virtues of faith, hope, and charity are very compatible with most pagan religions. Groups like the Promise Keepers advocate treating women in your life with honor and respect and reaching out to those who are different and have traditionally been excluded. We as pagans should certainly be tolerant of those who do good, no matter what God they worship. I can tell you now that I do not care who you pray to. But please pray. When we ask people for tolerance, shouldn't we be tolerant? Okay, if I ask you if you're a Christian, and I ask you to be tolerant of my religion and be tolerant of my beliefs, it would be extremely narcissistic for me to not be tolerant of yours. And that's what we're saying here. If you have any ill feelings towards another religion, this is something that you certainly can work on in your spiritual walk and path. Your high priestess or high priest will be more than happy to assist you in getting past some of the hurdles that you may find yourself going through when it comes to things of this nature. A couple of last pieces of advice. If it doesn't feel right, don't do it. That's just simple. Nothing should be forced. Does this mean the craft will be smooth sailing? Hardly. You will be tested. The goddess knows. But never know. You will be tested. You will be tested. Goddess knows that you will be tested. But not before you're not ready. Now, I will tell you. Well, not before you're ready. Sorry. I will tell you that, there are many, many, many tests in this path. And remember, without conflict, there can't be growth. Witchcraft is not satanic. It's not static, and it's not stagnant. It never remains sitting still. You will always grow and evolve. Just make sure You are ready to grow and evolve, or you will end up flat on your face. And Goddess knows I have been there. Literally. I have pictures of myself because I did. I got underwater. I was treading water. I was not, it was just, I was there. I wasn't growing. I wasn't falling back, but I wasn't growing. And so what did the goddess do? Or what did the god do? I mean, what did the gods do? They woke me up and got my attention by making sure I fell on my face and like, what? You will grow and you will evolve. I mean, check out some of the craft information websites if you want. As usual, always be careful about the books you purchase and read, but also be careful about the information you pull from the internet. And all of the Wiccan and pagan witchcraft websites you will find on, today, we have some people in the community who think they know it all. And like I said earlier, they don't know it all. You are always learning in this path. We have some people in the community who believe they're teachers and guides and mentors and high priests and priestesses of that and this and that and the other, when the fact is they've had no training. But more importantly, they have no experience in living and walking the path for any substantial amount of time. And these people are the ones who will lead you right into the coven of bullshit. So ask and remember to ask questions. There are no stupid questions. Okay? And so that's a little bit of advice to, the beginner. Please feel free to ask any questions you want. You can comment down below. Ask. There are no stupid questions. I've said that once, I'll say it again. There are absolutely no stupid questions. And believe me, it's beautiful and it's fun to learn. Just make sure you ask the questions. Like and subscribe. Comment down below. Share far and wide if you'd like. And please, be careful out there. Goddess loves you. Merry part until we merry meet again.